hallowed be thy name, whatsoever thou sendest us. Send thy consolation, we pray thee, O Lord, to those who today recall the loss of a loved one. Speak peace to hearts that are wounded by recent bereavement. Comfort them with the thought of thy wisdom and justice, which thou in thy fatherly love vouchsafest to thy trusting children. In filial submission to thy will and in joyous hope of life everlasting, we praise thee, in whose hands are the souls of all creatures and spirits of all flesh. Sprung in completeness, where his feet mine is the sunlight, mine is the morning, born of the one light, even so plain. Praise with elation, praise every morning, God's recreation of the new day. Morning has broken like the first morning. Blackbird has spoken like the first bird. Praise for the singing, praise for the morning, praise for the springing, fresh from the world. All you who mourn the loss of a loved one, and at this hour remember the goodness, the hope, and the sweet companionship that has passed away with her. Give ear to the word of comfort spoken in the name of God. Only the body has died and will be laid in the dust. The spirit lives and will live on forever in the shelter of God's love and mercy. And in this life also, Melanie will continue in the remembrance of those to whom she was precious. Every act of goodness she performed, every true and beautiful word she spoke is treasured up and becomes an incentive to conduct by which the living honor the dead. And when you ask in your grief, whence shall come my help and my comfort? Then in the strength of faith answer with the psalmist, my help cometh from Adonai. Adonai will not forsake me, nor leave me in my grief. Upon Adonai I cast my burden, and Adonai will grant me strength according to days Adonai has appointed to me. All souls are his, and no power can take them out of his hands. Amen.
Thank you, Steve. A most remarkable hymn. I dare say I saw one or two wet eyes in the audience, and rightfully so. But Jeff, strong lady, appropriate hymn. I now invite Ainsley, Melanie's dad, and he says he has promised me it's a short. We know that Ainsley's, that's not possible. Ainsley.
I think one of the most interesting aspects of a woman who has lived abroad for 30 odd years of her life, to have so many people recognize the end of her life. And I appreciate, on her behalf, all of you who have come this morning to recognize another one of our people has passed for the purposes of what God has created, our life. I only go back 58 years when my wife, Sheila, woke up at about 3 o'clock in the morning and said, Ainsley, I think I have started birth pains. And we were then living in Morant Bay. And the road was better then than it is now. But it will be better tomorrow than it was then. And I drove Sheila to Kingston, to the hospital, loved her, let her be, and drove back to Morant Bay. And the answer was why. Well, the question was why. The answer was that I had just started to reap that day the first small watermelon, not the big Charleston grey that we were all accustomed to buying and then cutting into sections. The watermelon that we had started to grow was known as a sugar baby. And if you think that the sugar baby name only stuck with watermelon, I have news for you. Melanie was known for at least 4 or 5 years as Sugar Baby. I think eventually she got to the stage where she didn't want to be called Sugar Baby when she went to school. And the first schools were actually at Morant Bay, on the hill that we lived. It's called Summit Road. You couldn't get very much higher than Summit Road. So that was part of the story of her beginning. Today, we recognize that she thought it was probably time to go home because her mother died 45 years ago. That wasn't just yesterday, it was the day before yesterday. And that is part of that story of how she grew and eventually had developed cancer to the point where we had to move to Kingston for the type of treatment that existed nearly 50 years ago. Oh, sorry, over 50 years ago. I'm not going to give you much more detail other than that she took the decision to go to university. I went to Brandeis, and then she got her second degree at Boston University, and then she found a man who just has been recognized as her husband, and with him produced 3 children, all of whom are here today. And they're blessed because one has finished with university, and the other 2 are still working at it. So we recognize that with her influence, they will also succeed in getting proper degrees and success in the life to come. And we wish them the very best opportunities for the kind of example that their mother gave them. And we also congratulate Jeff, who, when he decided that it was time for a young man to retire, he retired and let Melanie help him take more exercise, and he became a major bicycle rider. So from part of the background of Melanie's lifestyle, I think we can say she had a good life, and we are going to say to her, God bless you, goodbye, and stay with your mother, because that's where you're being buried, beside her. So the life of Melanie in death is going to be an interminable life with her mother beside her. God bless her.
Thank you, Ainsley. You know I have to comment on Ainsley's speech. Ainsley said that he had a crop reaping. That's what he has told everybody. But I somehow think that he didn't want to experience the actual birth because I think he's afraid of the doctor. But he doesn't want to say that to everybody. But Ainsley, Jeff and I and the family, we will just abide by the story. And we will say to you, Shalom. I now ask Jeff if he would come forward and just say a few words.
Hi. First, thank everybody for coming. Second, I think I'm actually going to talk longer than Ainsley, which is really a rarity. My family teases me that pretty much every year I watch the 1940s Frank Capra movie, It's a Wonderful Life. I even watched it on the plane coming down here. In it, you know, a lot of you have seen it, I'm sure. George Bailey, Jimmy Stewart, not until really pretty awful things happen to him does he find out how much impact he's had on people, how much he's loved. I feel like that's happening here a little bit. You know, I knew Melanie was loved. She loves all of you. But since she passed away, on Facebook, texts, calls, visits, I've been so touched by what everybody's been saying, the love coming out, and not just the love, but the anecdotes, the various details of things. One description that really sort of caught my attention was someone wrote on Facebook, Melanie is the master planner of all things fun. I thought, you can't describe her better than that, because she just loved doing things fun, she loved doing things with people, and man, she was good at planning them. If you knew Melanie well, you knew there's nothing she hated more than being the center of attention. So she's probably squirming a little bit, I apologize, but you don't always get what you want. I first met Melanie 35 or so years ago. She worked at a company called Gold Hill Computers. She was in technical support. I and a couple of partners, we were customers of them, and they gave us some software, and one of the floppy disks was bad. I mean, if any of you are pretty young, you might have to ask what that means, but one of the floppy disks was bad, so I ran over there to get a replacement, and I can still picture it. She came outside, beautiful, cute, pretty cute accent, which I won't even say where I thought it was from, and really sweet girl. And that's when we met. Over time, I ended up doing some contract and consulting work with them. I got to know her a little better. We got fixed up on a date with a mutual friend of ours, a secretary there. And she brought her best friend, Bela, on the date because Melanie was totally chicken to go out with me. So we went to a county fair kind of thing. And I think I got the thumbs up. And the rest is sort of history there. We were married 28 years ago in Morant Bay at Melanie's grandparents' house, Ima and Papa. Beautiful day, just wonderful experience. We actually got married twice. We got married in Morant Bay, and we got married in Philadelphia because my mother was too sick to travel there. And my first experience with Melanie coming to Jamaica was all of the people, an enormous family. I have a tiny little family. So even in Philadelphia, for the wedding there, she had more relatives than I did. But Melanie and I have had so much fun over the years, traveling, just hanging out, laughing, having our beautiful kids, Danielle, Benji, and Zoe. It's been just a wonderful ride with her. Hold on, catch up where I am. One of the sad things about our experience is that Melanie was always the one who remembered everything. She remembered, when we went to China, which town we were in, when we had some crazy meal there. I don't remember any of that stuff. So we're going to have to look at some pictures to remember all that stuff, because I think we've not just lost a beautiful person, but lost some collective memory. What was really important to Melanie, and one of the things I loved about her, is how caring and loving she was. Not in a sickly sweet, kind of drive you nuts sort of way, but in a way that's just really down to earth, and she would really do anything for anybody. She obviously loved and cared our kids. Her, Ainsley, her stepmother Marjorie, her sisters Anna and Rachel, there you are, as well as those who have gone by. her grandparents, Ema and Papa, and of course her mother, Sheila, who I never met, who died way too young when Melanie and her sisters were way too young. She loved her aunts, her uncles, her cousins, her in-laws, whatever, and she would do anything for anybody. She loved her friends. She was like so great with all of her friends. She loved here, Jamaica. That's why we're back here. I think personally, I was probably like a distant 5th or 6th, but I'm okay with that because I saw the joy in her of just hanging with everybody else and everything going on. It just made me happy to see that joy. Whenever we live in the U.S. in the Boston area, and whenever the lottery, the Mega Millions, Powerball, whatever, would get to be about $1 billion US, we'd always buy a couple of tickets. 2 points worth noting. I thought, Melanie was a crazy optimist. I always thought it was really sweet that, we never won a nickel, never won anything. But every time, she was always kind of surprised. She really expected to win. But more importantly, she didn't care about winning the $1 billion. She really wanted to win it so she could give money to her family and friends, especially those who were need a little bit of cash, in a way that wouldn't be sort of embarrassing to give them money. She just wanted to help other people. She didn't care about the $1 billion. As many of you know, Melanie loved her pottery. She did something called sgraffito, where you kind of carve into the pottery. She was fantastic at it, very talented. She took a class 20-something years ago and got better and better and better. She exhibited at the National Gallery here, other places. The interesting thing is during COVID, during the pandemic, a lot of people were asking her, and when she couldn't go to the studio and do her work for pottery, people say, do you have a wheel at home? Do you have a kiln at home? Are you doing it at home? And she had no interest in that. Because, while she loved the pottery and sort of the expressive thing of it, it was really about hanging with her peeps. She just wanted to hang with her friends doing pottery, and the best part of it was just sitting around and talking to everybody, all her mostly girlfriends, a couple of boyfriends, just doing her work there, hanging out. So after all this talk of caring, I hate to break the news that Melanie kept saying when she dies, she wanted the world to end. She hated missing out on anything. She just couldn't imagine things going on without her there. So she hated missing out. So maybe not the world end, but I think at least maybe there should be no more Wordles, because she would do Wordle every day, and having words she's not able to do, that's she wouldn't have liked that. She was really sad that there's things we never got a chance to do. We wanted to go to Vietnam. She was looking forward to being an empty nester. She came so close. She wanted the children to go off, grandchildren or whatever they wanted to do, but she was kind of looking forward to what was coming, and it's really sad. She had a hard-fought battle with cancer. Started 9-10 years ago, and then she was cured, but maybe not so much. And then 3 years ago, it came back, and she was really fighting hard every way she could. She tried everything she could. She researched everything she could, part of her fight, she would never use the word. She would almost never just say cancer. With apologies to any nuns from Immaculate Conception, her alma mater, it was always effing cancer. It was just, that was her way of fighting things. She never gave up. Michael called her strong. She was strong in a lot of ways, but regarding her battle with cancer, she hated being called strong because she never thought there was a choice. This is what you do. What am I going to do? Just die? So the whole strong thing just kind of didn't like it. grieving is tough. It's been a really hard week for us, for a lot of you. And, you know, everybody grieves in their own way, and, I'm hoping this all gets easier for me, my kids, our family, my family. I'm finding the thing that I'm sort of hitting me the most is the little things. Not just, keeping her company, but the little things. Like, something happens and you want to turn and tell your wife it. And I miss that. I mean, just a quick example. This summer we were here in Jamaica. We were staying at her Aunt Judy's. And in the bedroom we're staying at, there's one of those ductless air conditioning things. And, it was nice, kept the room cold. But we would go to sleep, and there'd be this big, awful, glowing thing with the temperature on it. And we were there, this is like crazy. What's this temperature thing? And, that's life. We lived with it. And then I'm staying at Judy's again now this weekend, and I'm using the same air conditioner, and I'm seeing there's a button, turn the damn light off, LED button. And I'm thinking, Melanie, we're like such idiots. What the heck? But, I miss being able to it's the little things for me right now. But, Melanie, I'm going to miss you. We're going to miss you. We all love you. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Jeff. Just 2 comments, and you can take it to heart. I've been told that men are different from women, not just physically, but we have one chromosome that's missing. It's called eyes. We see things that are supposed to be there, and you would say, honey, I can't find my glasses. Did you look? Yeah. Where did you leave it last? On the dresser. And you've looked. Yeah. Are these the glasses? Yeah. They're right on the dresser. So, don't feel bad that you didn't remember. That's one of the chromosomes that's kind of missing. The other is Melanie is there with you. So, still turn. Still speak. She's right there. She is right there. If you go by all of the things that the people tell you about metaphysics, it says, reach out to the force. She's there. So, continue, speak, cry, laugh, just as if she was there. And there are days that you're going to feel it, and it's going to come very, very close. And then you know she's right there. So, I'm now going to ask Melanie's kids if they want to say a few words. No? Okay.
Sisters.
Anna?
Anna and Rich.
And Rach? Rach? No?
The wind is blowing into it. Okay. It's okay. For many people, their parents shape them, hone their character, encourage their confidence, and more. If we are born as vessels containing individual, though not yet fully formed souls, the person who carved, colored, and glazed the foundational layers that made me who I am today was my big sister, Melanie. I think I can also, in this regard, in many ways, also speak for our sister Rachel. Without any of us being aware of who and what we would become, Melanie set to work, organically making her mark. In my case, Melanie awakened my creativity, expanded possibilities of what could be, and made me believe and know I was capable. Knowing Melanie as an adult, this isn't surprising. Melanie created a beautiful family with her unique and unusual touch. Her family vacations and her children's birthday parties were bar none, thanks to her magic treehouse mind, where the family visited other worlds completely different to their own, from China to Thailand to Iceland and more. Or she brought those other worlds into her home, transforming it into a wizard school or a place for an everything chocolate party. She also became an extraordinary ceramicist, carving her clay works with fantastical images of flora and fauna, leaving no surface untouched. But before this all, Melanie was honing her skills, already a creator, a shaper, an etcher, forming me, her younger sister. When we were little, Melanie decided we'd build a paper dollhouse together. She laid the foundations on a dismantled cardboard box, and we set to work, two girl giants building our multi-roomed Lilliputian mansion. Melanie guided the construction, including that of the decor, wallpapering and carpeting it in rich, colourful patterns from a discontinued and discarded wallpaper sample book. There were no holds barred on her unfettered vision of a disco dolly powder room in pink, black and silver. So we cut and laid pink and black paper tiles on floor and walls, and carefully fashioned a silver tinfoil sink and toilet, flushing handle and all. Melanie let me loose on the lush Liberace-inspired living room with its white grand piano and couch trimmed in gold Cadbury chocolate wrappers. You see, the house was not for dolls. The house was for us. Melanie wove two ordinary children into an imaginary world, awakening my imagination that thus far only existed in books. Melanie brought that creativity into our everyday world. She invented games and situations. She transformed our full-sized dollhouse in the garden into a Charlie's Angels headquarters, making the mango tree a jail. Removing the ladder once one was up the trunk ensured one stayed there and couldn't escape. She made the dollhouse a witch's coven where we swathed ourselves in Aunt Tidy's cast-off silks, skirts and scarves, and made magical potions that transformed evil into good. Her playtimes were often combating evil with good. For Melanie was good, honourable and kind. She also taught me to be gentle and loving as she was with our budgigars, Timmy, Jimmy and Tweety, and our beloved pet dog, Chippy. In addition, Melanie was funny and sweet, even meek, except when it came to competitive games. Melanie's pottery is rugged and strong and almost impossible to break. Melanie's competitive streak was no different. It didn't matter which game it was, whether Monopoly, Hearts, Kaluki, Spit, Corn, Life, Dominoes, Backgammon, Mahjong, Chinese checkers or Milborn. She played for blood, as she said, as she dug her fingernails into me after I overturned the Monopoly board on more than one occasion. She did not limit her competition to pre-made games. She climbed the mango tree to the highest limb, leaving me trembling on a thick branch below. In the pool, she held her breath for minutes while swimming lengths underwater to beat out Rachel and me. She created a race in our conjoined bedrooms called Round the World, where we scrambled around the room in opposite directions without touching the floor, crawling across the top of the closets, tiptoeing on the ledge of the louver windows while clinging to the slats, and swinging across hanging onto the door before leaping out onto the finish line bed. Even when we had bubble baths together, she took the opportunity to make a game. She dropped a bar of soap beneath the foot-high fluff of bubbles and called the rules. Whoever could find it and hold it above their heads for 5 seconds, snatching aloud, would win. The slippery bar flew out of hands in the mad scramble that was this game. Once, only once, after a particularly animated iteration of that game, our neighbour Danya included, which splashed so much soapy water onto the floor that she instigated a relay race on the tiles. In teams of 2, we sledded, so to speak, on our birthday suit bums back and forth from the wall to the door to see who could traverse the slick tiles the fastest, until the bathwater made its way under the door, filled the hall, and swept down the staircase into the dining room, at which point the game was no more. Yes, Melanie encouraged my own creativity, while she also toughened me, taught me to be resilient, to combat with ferocity if I was going to be any match for her. In the pool challenge, seeing who could do the most laps underwater while holding our breath, I almost burst my lungs to beat her. Serena to Venus, I eventually won, but I did not win her at plank pose a dozen-plus months ago, when on her kitchen floor she beat both Issei, my daughter, and me, holding the pose for over 2 minutes, wholly unwilling to lose. Even though cancer had returned and she was on chemo. Only 6 months ago, determined to be the best sister she could possibly be, she visited with her family in Portugal to show her support in seeing my new home, since she knew it would mean the world to me. She squeezed the trip in between chemo and doctor's appointments, weighing what seemed about 90-odd pounds. If Melanie's pottery is strong and almost impossible to break, so was her will. Not now, not way back then. Not as a child, not as a young teen. After our mother died, Melanie held a silent vigil for the next 7 years until emancipated, so to speak, as a young adult now living in Boston. Given how quiet she could be, not many noticed. She reminded me of her conviction twice last month, in hospital and in her bedroom, wanting me to remember her for her loyalty to our mother. Hers was an impressive act, testament to that incredible strength of her will. An incredible strength of conviction hers was, for Melanie fought to live right up to the end. Not once did her will fail her, not once did she give up. Her body did. And now she's with our mother, whom Melanie has missed more than I can begin to put into words. From then on, our playing ceased, reduced instead to young girls attempting to mother ourselves. But Melanie's impact is indelible, etched deep like the crisply delineated fantastical flora and fauna of her pottery, in black and white with touches of intense color. I know I never will be able to put into words how I will miss you, Mel, how much my heart aches, and I am sure it is the same for Rachel. But each time my imagination takes flight, or my adrenaline surges, and my spirit sets afire to win some game, or my voice softens and coos at a feathered or furry creature, I know it is you within me, my beloved big sister.
I don't have the gift of words that Anna does, so she pretty much said it all. I will, however, point out that most of the potions were Anna's creations. Pretty impressive ones, too. I'm actually here to read from 2 of Melanie's friends in Boston. Several of Melanie's friends from high school are here, and many people who have known us since we were too young to even know when we met you. But these were 2 friends that Melanie made in Boston who were very near and dear to her. From Monica. I met Melanie in 1990, my first day of graduate school in Boston. I clearly remember our first conversation and remember and always will Melanie's unwavering kindness and support during the first few years of my life in the United States. Melanie was a friend like no other. She took me under her wing and helped me create a life for myself in a new country. She always gave without asking anything in return. She was the fountain of down-to-earth practical suggestions, but but always up for doing something fun and silly. A friend who was constant, consistent, and loyal, and someone whom I thought would never leave my side. Mel, your friendship meant the world to me. I will miss you and will always hold you in my heart. And from Bela, who has been wonderful. I met Melanie on our first day in college. We were both far from home and instantly bonded, launching a 40-year beautiful friendship. We spoke almost every day for these years, sometimes multiple times, sharing everything from the deep to the mundane. She was my best friend. Melanie was a bright light for so many, kind and caring, and always looking to make others happy, and a friend to so many. She was adventurous and active, always exploring and doing, inspiring others to do the same. She was just such a fun person, as creative when making plans as she was creative as an artist. Her pottery was amazing, as most of you know, but so were the masks she made to help others during COVID. Her handmade crafts and her creative party planning through the years brought so much light and joy to so many of us. Mel was quietly strong. She fought her battles bravely and helped so many others fight theirs. Her positive impact on this world was wide, deep, and full of love. Mel, you leave a Melanie-sized hole in my life, and I will miss you incredibly. You gave me a gift before you left. The day before you passed, you had Jeff ask me to come over. You asked me to massage you, and as I went to stop, thinking you were asleep, you said to me, "I'm still here, you know." Even though you left the next day, I know you are still here in the memories, heart, and spirit of so many. I love you, my friend, and I am grateful for the gift of a deep and beautiful friendship that you gave me during your journey on this earth. And for myself, I will miss her so much. I think, as Jeff said, it's the little things. It's being able to call her up and actually vent to her about how much trouble she caused coming to Jamaica in her death. I think Bela actually said it best. The grief will come in waves. Some days will be good, and some days will be bad. And we will just miss you tremendously, Mel. Love you.
Thanks, guys. If anybody could get a send-off, that is truly a remarkable send-off. So, as I said earlier, she's not here. This is only a container. She's in here. So you guys, it's tough. It's tough. But she set a standard for all of us to follow. As you have heard me say many times, life is a journey. Use today to enjoy your journey, just as Mel did. I'm now going to ask some invitees to come forward as this really concludes our service here in the Mata House. Am I right? Yes, I'm right. I have to check with my senior advisor. I'm going to ask Ian Bruce, and Ian knows that he's on standby. Paul Keite, Paul, I pronounced it correct? Kite? Keith, Paul. Jeff, Damian King, Jeff Porter, present, Mike, and Adam, and of course the girls, and Benji. We're going to make our way out to the graveside now, and I would ask everybody just to follow behind the family. When we get closer, the stronger gentlemen just stay beside the ladies and beside Benji, as we may need your assistance to go the final leg to the actual resting place.
wonders of thy will, before the earth and the heavens come forth from chaos, deep and still. Ere then thou reignest, Lord supreme, as thou wilt ever reign, and move thy spirit o'er the dark unfathomed main. But when through all the empty space thy mighty voice was heard, then darkness fled, and heavenly light came beaming at thy word. All nature then proclaimed thee King, most blessed and adored, the great Creator, God alone, the universal Lord. And when this vast created world returns to endless night, when heaven and earth shall fade away at the dread word of might, still thou in majesty wilt rule, Almighty One alone, great God, with mercy, infinite on thy exalted throne, immortal power, eternal one, with thee what can compare? Thy glory shines in heaven and earth, and fills the ambient air. All time, all space, be thee illumined, grows bright and brighter still, obedient to thy highest behest, to thy heavenly will. To thee dominion, soul belongs, and it's to thee alone, my Father, Savior, living God, I make my sorrows known. Thy love, celestial and divine, descends upon my heart, inspiring courage and joy, and bidding grief depart. Protected by thy boundless love, my body sinks to rest.
My soul within thy heavenly arm reposes calm and blessed. Lord of my life, in darkest night I sleep and have no fear. And in the early dawn of day I awake and find thee near. Al mikomaya vo veshalom. May she come to her place in peace. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust, earth to earth. The body returns to the dust from whence it came, but the spirit returns to Almighty God who gave it. To the departed Melanie Henriques, whom we now remember, may peace and bliss be granted in life eternal. May she find grace and mercy before the Lord of heaven and earth. May her soul rejoice in that ineffable good which God has laid up for those who fear him. And may her memory be a blessing for those who treasure his word. May the Father of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all the bereaved of their own. And throw it in as we go. Just leave it on top of the coffin. It's a little bit of custom. But we'll complete the service with the mourners Kaddish.
Agala Uzbizman Karim. Eshameraba, Rakala Malme Almaya Yitbara. Tabak, Propar, Vitroman, Vitnase, Vitadar, Vitalel, Vitalal. Shamere, Kudisha, Veriku. Yalmin Kol Vikata, Shirata, Kinpekata, Vekanmata, Emra, Bialma, Ruame. Eshameraba, Min Shemaim, Vesa, Tesba. Fabala, Lefaxala Lanu. Kolamo Yisrael, Amen. Ose Shalom Bimrama, Urakama via Se Shalom, Alenu via Kol Israel, Bimru, Amen. Ose Shalom Bimrama, Uya Se Shalom, Alenu via Kol Israel. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Israel. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al Israel. Yahase Shalom, Yahase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu To all our beloved departed whom we now remember, may peace and bliss be granted in life eternal. May the Father of peace send peace to all who mourn, and comfort any bereaved among us. And let us say, Amen.
Well, I think Melanie would have thought this was hilarious.
This concludes our service, and if you'd all just would like to just throw a little dirt and just say your own personal goodbyes, you are more than welcome.
This has been an XMalcom Media production. For more information and bookings, call us at 1-876-369-6604 or check us out on YouTube at XMalcom Media or Instagram and Facebook at XMalcom Media.